Battle Through the Heavens. Chapter 193. The massive creature lurking within the molten magma lake. The grit beneath Hanmu's palms yields to a vibration that rattles the teeth, a deep-seated pulse rising through the stone. Every intake of air becomes a searing weight as the dampness of the upper tunnels evaporates against their scorched skin. They step into a blinding roar of light, where the earth gives way to an endless, churning sea of fire. The underground cavern was immense, filled with slow-churning rivers of glowing red magma. Massive bubbles swelled from the depths and burst with sharp cracks, spraying molten rock like crimson fireworks against the dark stone walls. Standing at the mouth of a narrow tunnel, the three travelers stared out at the endless sea of liquid fire. Xiaoyan felt his throat tighten as he swallowed hard, the sheer scale of the heat pressing against his chest.
I never imagined such a terrifying place existed beneath Rock Desert City.
Zhao Ding said. A faint green light shrouded his body, but sweat poured down his face. He wiped his brow with a trembling hand, his eyes filled with dread.
It is a world of fire down there.
Xiaoyan replied. His own body was wrapped in a layer of Dou Qi, but the blistering air still made his skin sting and his breath come in short, hot gasps.
How can we even move forward?
Xiao Ding asked with a bitter smile.
The path ends here. My wood chi is completely suppressed by this heat. If I were not a 5-star doshi, I would have collapsed long ago. This is my limit.
Xiaoyan nodded. If he did not possess fire-based energy himself, he would have been forced to turn back. The elemental energy in this cavern was far more violent and wild than it had been in the tunnels above. He took a slow breath and glanced at Qinglin. To his surprise, the girl seemed more comfortable than any of them. She possessed no Dou Qi, yet she stood unfazed. Xiaoyan focused his perception and noticed a strange, cold energy radiating from deep within her body. It acted as a natural shield against the furnace-like atmosphere.
This girl is a mystery.
Xiaoyan thought, his brow furrowing.
Is it her snakeskin blood? Even a normal snake person would be screaming in a place like this.
What is your plan?
Xiao Ding asked, glancing at the churning magma.
I am going in to see what I can find.
Xiaoyan said quietly.
Go in?
Xiao Ding snapped his head toward his brother, his voice rising in alarm.
There is no ground to walk on. How do you expect to cross that?
I cannot walk on it, of course.
Xiaoyan said with a small smile.
This heat would melt steel in seconds.
He reached back and unslung the heavy Xuan ruler, storing it inside his storage ring. He flexed his shoulders, and the purple cloud winds snapped open with a sharp rustle of energy. Zhao Ding recoiled, his eyes wide.
Wings? A Dui Wong? That is impossible.
He knew Xiaoyan was a genius, but a 20-year-old Dou Wang was unheard of. In the entire Jama Empire, there were fewer than 20 people at that level, and all of them were legendary figures who had spent decades cultivating.
Xiaoyan laughed and shook his head, running a hand over the purple feathers of the wings. This is not Dou Qi crystallization. It is a rare flying technique. It is not as fast as a true Dou Wang, but it gets me off the ground.
Xiao Ding let out a long breath of relief, though his gaze remained stunned.
Just how many secrets are you hiding, little brother?
Xiaoyan just smiled.
Take Qinglin and head back the way we came. I will scout this place alone.
Wait,
Zhao Ding said, reaching out to stop him.
even with wings, the heat in that cavern is lethal. How long can you expect to survive out there?
Trust me.
Xiaoyan said.
I will be fine.
Xiao Ding stared at him for a long moment before finally nodding.
Be careful. If anything goes wrong, get out immediately.
I will.
Xiaoyan promised. He turned to leave, but a small, cold hand suddenly grabbed his wrist.
Wait, young master! Something is hiding inside the magma!
Her green eyes were fixed on the vast, glowing lake. Her voice was sharp with fear. Xiaoyan and Xiao Ding froze, their eyes scanning the molten surface, but they saw nothing but the slow movement of the heat and a few jagged rocks.
What did you see?
Xiaoyan asked, his tone turning serious. With Yao Lao protecting him, he was confident, but he knew better than to ignore a warning in a place like this.
Something is alive down there.
Qinglin whispered. She stared intensely at the churning red liquid, her green pupils shimmering with a faint, eerie light that seemed to pierce through the glow.
I can feel its breath. It is very strong.
It is alive?
Xiaoyan felt a chill despite the heat. To survive in temperatures that could liquefy metal was nearly impossible to believe.
Is it the same presence you felt 6 months ago?
Xiao Ding asked, his hand dropping to the hilt of his weapon.
No, this one is different.
Qinglin said, shaking her head.
The one from before was much more powerful. This creature? She hesitated, trying to find a comparison. It is a bit stronger than Lu Bu from the Sandspear mercenaries.
Luo Bu was a Dou Qi. If this creature was stronger than him, it was likely at the level of a Dou Ling. Xiaoyan calculated the risk. A Dou Ling beast in its natural habitat would be as dangerous as a Dou Wong. Xiaoyan narrowed his eyes.
No matter what it is, I have to look. The thing I need might be right under that magma. Brother, take the girl back. I am going to try.
He stepped to the very edge of the stone ledge and snapped his wings. His body lifted into the air, hovering 10 meters above the glowing surface. Xiao Ding watched him with a worried expression, but pulled Qinglin back into the safety of the tunnel, keeping his eyes locked on his brother. Xiaoyan glided slowly over the lake of fire. He wrapped his body in purple flame Dou Qi and pushed his spiritual perception outward, searching for any sign of a predator. The air was thick with toxic sulfur and fire poison. Even with the protection of a detoxifying pill, he had to hold his breath, only taking small, careful sips of air when his lungs burned. The toxic mist still made his head swim. Without the pill, he would have collapsed within minutes. He kept his speed low and his movements silent, hoping to avoid drawing the attention of whatever lurked below. The cavern was even larger than it looked from the shore. The magma formed a massive underground sea. Occasionally, a pillar of molten rock would erupt without warning, forcing him to bank hard to avoid being incinerated. It was a world of death. Xiaoyan felt the skin on his face tightening and reddening. His clothes were so dry they felt like they might ignite from a single spark. He glanced back and saw the two small figures of his brother and the girl watching him from the distant tunnel entrance. He raised a hand to signal that he was safe. But before he could wave, Qinglin's voice screamed out, high and sharp.
Young master, it is following you! Run!
Xiaoyan's skin crawled. He did not hesitate. He beat his wings with everything he had, banking sharply toward the tunnel. As he moved, the calm surface of the magma below him erupted. A massive, heavy roar echoed through the cavern as a gargantuan shape burst from the red depths, lunging upward with its jaws wide, reaching for him in a spray of fire.